You're listening to continuing coverage in the Las Vegas reporter murder trial of Robert Tellez from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Now, back to the courtroom.
I think I saw a log of some phone records, so I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
I'm talking more like the contents of a phone.
I don't recall seeing that, but that doesn't mean I didn't.
Okay. And when was it that you were provided these materials?
It was some time ago. I was retained on this case, I believe, late last year, but I couldn't tell you the exact date.
Okay. And it sounds like you interviewed Mr. Tellez at some point?
I did.
When was that?
I actually interviewed him twice. I interviewed him earlier this year, I believe, and then I also interviewed him last Saturday.
Okay. And in either interview, did you record your conversation with him?
I did not.
Did you take notes?
I did.
Are your notes available?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, do you still have your notes?
Yes.
Okay, so if the court ordered you to provide them, you could do that?
I could, yes.
Okay. And you understand, of course, we don't have them yet.
I haven't been asked for them, no.
Okay. And so if we made that request and the court agrees with us, you'd be able to provide it?
Certainly.
Okay. Besides Mr. Tellez, did you interview anyone else?
I did not.
How long were the interviews that you conducted with him?
The first interview was about 3 hours, I believe, and then the more recent one was maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Did you ever administer any tests to him?
I did not.
So it was just interviews, and so you're sort of relying on his description of events?
I captured his description of events.
Okay. But what he's telling you is his factual version, right?
I would assume so.
Okay. I mean, you don't ever verify that with anybody else. Is that fair?
I have not.
Okay. And so you're kind of getting information from a single source?
Well, I'm getting information from him for the information that he has available to him.
Okay, and like you could apply, I mean, sometimes are tests administered in order to do psychological assessments of people?
Correct.
And none of those were done?
No.
On either occasion?
No.
Okay. And you're not here to tell us anything about events that occurred on December the 2nd of 2022, correct?
Well, no.
No. I mean, you
not
haven't
on that date. No.
You haven't been to Bronze Circle.
Counsel, I believe it's September 2nd. There was a question. December 2nd. I think.
Oh, I thought I said
Just a
September.
mistake.
I apologize. I mean September, if I misspoke.
Yes. No.
I mean, you haven't been to Bronze Circle.
No.
You're not familiar with any of the evidence other than what you read in the officer's report?
Whatever I read in the police report, yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you sometimes testify about the reliability of memory and that sort of thing, and that is sometimes used in cases where there is eyewitness testimony to be relied upon?
Yes.
And then sometimes I would assume it's to talk about children who recall instances of sexual abuse that occurred in the past. They're challenging their memories of that.
That's right.
And so you kind of provide, I guess, context to how they might misremember things?
In some cases, yes.
Okay. And I think you said on direct examination that that going through the criminal justice system just in itself is a stressful event.
Yes, certainly.
And that correlates with the severity of the charge.
The risk of suicide correlates with the severity of the charge, yes.
Okay. And what we're saying is, I think you said it doesn't, I think your words were not necessarily when asked if it was like the suicidality was indicative of a guilty conscience, correct?
Yes.
And so not necessarily to me means sometimes it could be?
Sure. Of
Okay.
course.
So there are sometimes people are suicidal because of feeling guilty about the crime they've committed?
I think that's almost certainly true.
Okay. Do you have any kind of information? I don't know if there are studies on that about how often that might be the case.
Well, because, as I said earlier, we don't know what's going through a person's mind in most cases unless they tell us.
Right.
People that commit suicide don't usually have much to say.
Right, but if
And
you
so-
attempted it, you would.
Right, and even when they tell us, we can't always rely on that as being accurate. So it's a very difficult question to address directly through scientific study.
Because people who have attempted suicide may be unreliable narrators about why they did things, right?
Absolutely,
And they may be self-interested when they're relaying events to you.
for sure.
And they may be motivated by sort of wanting to avoid criminal responsibility when they're talking to you.
Yes, definitely.
All those factors are always at play when you have someone charged with a crime. Would
They
that be
can
fair?
They can be.
Okay. And do you think there's a correlation of suicidality when people, like in high positions in society, have what's called like a fall from grace? Do you know what I mean? Being publicly embarrassed?
Yes, I think that that's probably a factor, because when I talk about the stress of being accused of a crime, whether or not you did it, there are a lot of factors that play into that. There's family, there's friends, there's finances, there's your employment, but also, as you said, if it's somebody who has a prominent position in society, just the public scrutiny of being accused, whether you're guilty or not, is sometimes inescapable. And we see cases of that all the time where people are accused of a crime, they're tried, they're found not guilty, but that scrutiny, that public scrutiny continues. Not everybody accepts a not guilty verdict, and so it can be very difficult to function in society afterwards.
But that public scrutiny would still exist and the embarrassment would still exist if you were guilty too, right?
Right.
And if, say, you were the subject of really negative articles that were published countywide, that would be a stressor that someone might experience as well, right?
Correct.
Being accused of inappropriate behavior in the workplace would be a stressor for somebody, right?
I would think so.
Being accused of being a bad manager would be stressful for somebody, right?
Almost certainly.
Okay. And sort of being accused of being kind of incompetent at your job would be a stressor if that was something that was like published to, say, the county.
Yes.
Okay. And those types of things cause stress on individuals that may or may not manifest as suicide, but they're troubling to individuals to experience. Is that fair?
Sure. Some more than others. It's all about personality and experience, but yes, I would think generally that's true.
And when you say some more than others, if they're someone who puts a lot of importance on their role in a particular office or status, it would be more upsetting for that type of person to have maybe negative articles written about them?
I would think so, yes.
Okay. Could I have the court's indulgence? Thank you.
Yes, just some follow-up. Based upon your testimony and your opinion, there's not really this correlation concerning more evidence against someone for a serious crime then results in a higher likelihood of suicide.
I'm sorry, could you rephrase?
Absolutely. So there was questions that you were asked concerning evidence in a particular case. Mm-hmm. And are you able to say there's any correlation between, let's say, the more evidence of a person having committed a crime, that being correlated to the higher likelihood of suicide?
I think it's probably more accurate to say that it comes down to the individual's perception of his situation. So, for instance, if someone believes that they're in big trouble, that the cops have them dead to rights, whether or not they're guilty, that probably produces more stress than somebody who thinks, I can get out of this, or I'm good, or they don't have anything on me. So the objective status of that person's situation is probably less important than the subjective perception of the situation that they're in.
So again, that underscores, obviously you agree that human beings, we can be fairly complex and our behavior can be fairly complex.
That's pretty obvious, yeah.
It is, and oftentimes people think, well, if this person committed suicide, if he committed suicide, he must have committed the crime. You're here to dispel that common view.
Yes,
And there's actually scientific data that does so.
right.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross?
Nothing else, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hawes? You can approach. We have a question from a juror. It's been marked as court's exhibit number 15. Has anyone in your experience ever attempted suicide in an attempt to gain sympathy from being accused?
I think that's almost certainly true, yes. Especially when the suicide attempt is not successful. Sometimes people do what we call suicidal gestures, which just refers to the fact that it kind of looks like a suicide attempt, but it wasn't fatal. And in many cases, people do that just to garner sympathy or to deflect attention from some other issue that they're concerned about.
Any follow-up, Mr. Draskowitz?
I do, thank you. And in reference to this, and we're not saying that's necessarily the case in this case, are we?
No, I'm not at all.
And this perhaps deflection, this perhaps attempting to get sympathy doesn't necessarily equate to knowledge of guilt or guilt.
No, it definitely does not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Weber, anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Chambers, thank you very much for your testimony here today. You can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You are excused from your subpoena. Thank you very much for being here.
I'll step outside to see if
Okay.
our next witness is available. Our next witness is not here, and as I explained to the court, we had them set for later in the week. We'd anticipate our next witness being available after the lunch break, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, this afternoon?
Correct.
Okay. So at this time, we are going to break for lunch. During this recess, you're marched on to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, any way regarding the case or experience, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. Read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case. Do research, consult dictionaries, internet, or reference materials. Do any investigation, test a theory, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case till it's finally submitted to you by 1 o'clock.
Could we start at 1:30, given the other issues that we're
Sure.
going to address?
Okay, so we'll be in recess till 1:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you, all right, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
Does the state stipulate to the presence of the panel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone, please be
Will you
seated.
call your next witness?
Tracy Torres Lord.
Tracy Torres. please watch your step. And if you'll remain standing, raise your right hand and face the clerk, please.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Tracymiggliore.
Thank you. Ma'am, you also go by, is it McGlory?
Just go by McGlory, yes.
Okay. Turning your attention back to September of 2022, did you see something on TV that caused you to call the police?
Yes.
Do you recall what the circumstances were and what you saw on TV that caused you to call police?
The description of the person I seen in the park. What they were wearing stood out.
Okay. Now, did you see video on TV concerning a crime in reference to a journalist, and you saw clips of that and you said, I recognize that person?
Yes.
If I may turn your attention, and for the record, this is State's Exhibit 338. This is the press release that was released on September 5th, 2022. It's not playing. Can you see that?
Yes.
Was that the clip that you had seen on TV?
Yes.
And as a result of seeing this clip, did you call the police?
Yes.
Now, you had testified, get this to stop, that you had seen something that gave rise to concern because you had seen this individual previously.
That's correct.
Where was it that you saw what you believed was this individual?
At Bruce Trent Park?
Bruce Trent Park?
Yes.
That's in Clark County, Nevada.
Yes.
Is Bruce Trent Park off of Vegas Drive in Rampart?
That's correct.
When did you see this individual?
It was about 4:30 in the evening.
Okay. And what date do you recall?
It was on the 28th of August.
So that would have been a Sunday.
That's correct.
And about 4:30.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what, if we could have marked as defense exhibit Y2. And this will be admitted by stipulation?
Sure.
I'm going to show you, and if I could get the Elmo up. Is this right here, Bruce Trent Park? I showed you this prior to your testimony.
Yes, you did, yeah.
And that's the park you were at?
That's correct.
Now, is this a Summerlin Park? Is there like a soccer park complex there?
Yes, I believe there's for softball and maybe ice skating, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Just other things.
So when you saw this person, it was Sunday, August 28th, 2022. Was it warm outside?
Very warm. Okay.
And anything catch your attention concerning this individual that you saw?
Yes, yes.
What did you see, please?
I seen somebody that was fully covered from head to toe and wearing black gloves. Yes,
Did this individual have tennis shoes on?
yes,
You have to speak up.
yes, yes,
Did this individual have a straw hat on like the one that we saw in that clip?
yes, sir.
And where did you see this person at this Bruce Trent Park?
I seen him walking across the children's play area.
Okay.
And I seen him enter the men's restroom.
If I could have what's going to be marked and admitted by stipulation, defense exhibit.
C2.
Z2.
No objection.
It's admitted.
More continuing coverage in the Las Vegas reporter murder trial of Robert Tellez is on the way. From the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today, press subscribe now.